Yo, what's up, people? I'm your host, Jay Will, and I would like to welcome you to Inspire God's People, where we balance faith and business to guide you to your purpose. This is episode 249. Being successful is harder than you think. 5 gems to consider. That's right. We're going to go through 5 things to consider when it comes to maintaining success. So there's like obtaining success, right? I think a lot of people think about, how do I become successful? But a lot of us don't think about, like, well, how do I maintain it once I get there? And what are some things for me to think about? So, and these gems are going to be things you could think about either on your climb to success or when you get there. But hopefully you enjoy the show. Look, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm always happy to kick it with y'all. All right, we're going to jump right into this thing. The first gem that we're going to talk about as it relates to, being successful is harder than you think is really centered around a foundational thought that I always have. You don't have to be the most successful to be successful. Now, this is countercultural at the end of the day. We live in a culture where everything is about social media, showing off what you have, and not just showing off what you have, but also following everyone else and waking up and looking at what everyone else has, right? And there's a weird thing that's happened. I don't think we did it on purpose as a society necessarily. Maybe the powers that be did, but I don't think the average person did this on purpose. But we've allowed ourselves to be kind of caught up in this system of like, hey, I show off everything about myself in a very unrealistic way. That's not authentic. That's not genuine. Make myself seem perfect to people who know me and especially strangers out there in the world. And then simultaneously, as I project that out, so do they. So, I'm waking up and I'm sharing, hey, look at this job I got, or look at this house I got, look at this car I got. And then simultaneously, I'm waking up every morning like, oh man, look at that car he got. Look at that house he got. Look at that job he got. And so on and so forth. And so I think it's important to understand that when you're successful, whenever you obtain whatever level of success that you get, that is like, yo, I don't have to be the most successful. I also think this is important for just our sanity, for our mental well-being, our spiritual well-being. And I also just think as it relates to being believers, like having the mind of Christ, right? When you become successful, to me, that's not a green light for me to act a fool. And the more we grow, the more we mature, the more we learn the word and follow the word, there should be some evidence of fruit and growth and development. That I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying you got to be perfect. But what I'm saying is that we have to grow. And part of that growth should be, if I'm a believer, if I'm reading the word and I'm, in church and saying, that, I'm a Christian, there should be something about the way that I carry myself that's like, yo, wait a minute. I don't I don't have to be the most successful because I don't want to compete with everybody. I want to see other people win, but also when you're competing with everybody, it actually is blocking you from being grateful. So how can I be grateful to the Lord for everything that he blessed me with if I'm waking up every day and looking at your accomplishments or your life with some hint of jealousy, right? A little bit of hint of covetousness, a little bit of hint of why not me? And I think if we being real, we participate in that. And I think any of us could fall victim of that, right? Like any of us could be guilty of that. And I think it's important just to be real with yourself and to monitor yourself and be like, yo, all right, I have whatever level of success the Lord gave me, and I need to steward that success. And so stewarding your success is really only possible when you're focused on your success, not in a selfish way, but think about the parable of the talents. If you're the servant with 1 or 2 or 5, it doesn't matter. What the master is judging is, what did you do with what I gave you? And so versus us waking up as believers thinking like, I have to have the most. This person got this car. I need a better car. They wear this brand. I need a better brand. We really should challenge ourselves to start thinking like, all right, Lord, this is what you gave me. This is the card I'm dealt. Let me shuffle these around and leverage them to the best of my ability. And a part of that becomes, yo, I want to be successful. I want to maintain success, but I understand I'm not the most successful, right? I don't have to be arrogant in my success. But even on top of that, I'm grateful and I don't have to look at someone else and compete with them. Yo, if you're more successful than me, congratulations. If you're not as quote unquote successful as me in a particular area, then I also am not trying to look down on you. And these are things to me, I believe as believers, it's important to carry success the right way. It's important to me. And I know some of us just focus on chasing the success and not like, who am I going to be when I get there? Like, what character did I bring into success? So you don't really wait until you're successful to start thinking about these things. But regardless of where you at on your journey, I hope that can help you as you think about, hey, I want to grow. I want to be more successful. All right, here's the second thing to think about as it relates to success is harder than you think. Nothing is easy. Now, I know that seems simple, but this idea that nothing is easy just means that we don't point the finger at other people and say, oh, yeah, because his mom left him money or because they grew up in this neighborhood or, we're not victims. And if you're going to be successful and if you're going to remain successful, you cannot live your life as a victim, even if you were victimized in some way. And I know that sounds harsh, but just let me explain what I mean by that. I draw a lot of inspiration from Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington because they were born slaves. And you talk about being victimized. I talk about them all the time. If you listen to this show, I'm not going to say there's nothing worse because Christ was crucified on a cross, but I just mean in fairly modern history, slavery is really about as extreme as it can get in the variations of slavery amongst different people, right? And so my point is, when I look at Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass, they did not let their circumstance become their identity. They became greater than the title slave. And I think the problem with some of us in our society is that we draw so much of our identity from our circumstance, and we allow that to summarize us. We allow it to limit us. And so it's like, hey, if you view yourself as a slave, how could you ever become an advisor to presidents? If you view yourself as a slave, how could you ever develop and build your own school? How could you ever go out and raise funding amongst various types of people, the same types of people that might have enslaved you? And so my point is that nothing is easy. I don't allow myself to look at other people and summarize that their life is easier than mine. And so therefore, I have an excuse not to be successful. I don't believe that. I believe, again, all right, Lord, this is what you gave me. Let me leverage it to the best of my ability. But also, as I become more successful, I also realize, oh, this isn't as easy as it looked before I got here. A lot of times, this might sting a little bit. So, just prepare yourself. A lot of times we become spectators of other people's success because we've never had any of our own. We've never actually worked to actually have our own success. And so we don't actually know what it's really like. We are just critics of those who are successful. And I think that's a dangerous place to be as a believer, to sit on the sidelines and be spectators and critics of other people's lives while, I sit up on the couch and play the video game all day. And I'm not even a professional video game player because those people make money as well. I'm just lazy. And so it's really easy in society today because of social media for us to get on here and, whatever news happens in the world, whatever headlines are out there every day, we're reacting to other people's lives while in many cases, we're not even living our own life. Nothing is easy. You could have a certain amount of money in your mind that you think is a lot of money. And then when you touch that amount of money, you realize, this isn't as easy as I thought. This doesn't actually solve all of my problems like I thought it would. I still have to steward. There's still some work to be done. So, for me personally, I'll tell you, let me phrase this the right way. Let's say before I ever had $3,000, right? Then if I had $0, or in my case, maybe overdraft, -300, I would have thought that $3,000 would just be like, that's all you need. Like 3,000, you good. Then I had $3,000 and I realized like, oh, this isn't a lot of money at all. Why? Because it's very easy to spend $3,000. Now you could take that and copy and paste. We all have different amounts of money that are a lot or a little to us, but you realize at the end of the day, no matter what I really have, right, it's not really easy to manage. It requires some level of work or I'll lose it. If you get, you know, $20 million, like people who win the lottery or athletes, a lot of times, you think my life is great. Like I don't have, this is it. Now, a lot of us sit on the sideline and we never even had $10,000 and we telling somebody what they would do with 20 million because we have a fantasy perspective about what money is. But the people who've been in that situation, when I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, in most cases, on average, they're broke within 5 years. Now, again, to people like me and you who may not have that kind of money, it just seems close to impossible. But if you don't put parameters and steps in place to educate yourself and become financially literate, then you're going to find yourself in the same situation, whether you get 5,000, 3,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million. And so my point is that regardless of how much money you have, don't allow yourself to live in a fantasy that there's some amount of money that's going to solve all of your problems. If you don't change your mind and if you don't grow and mature, there is no amount of money that could be a Band-Aid on your situation. Success is way harder than you think. All right, what's the third gem that I'm going to kick it off with y'all with? We got, I like this one. You deserve what you earn. Now, I was kicking it with my homeboy today, and we start talking about like this idea of earning versus deserving. You know, like a lot of us feel like we deserve more. You know, I deserve to have this car. I deserve to have this house. I'm not here to argue or debate with you. I'm just giving my perspective. You might see it a different way. To me, you deserve what you earn. Like, I don't deserve, a Porsche. I might want a Porsche. I don't deserve a Ferrari. I might want a Ferrari. I deserve it if I earn it. And the reason that's important in my mind as it relates to maintaining success is because if you start convincing yourself that you deserve things that you haven't earned, you'll try to get them before you can afford them. And a lot of times you'll crumble your whole little empire that you've created trying to get something that you really can't handle. Why? Because you might want to keep up with people. Why? Because maybe you want to post it on social media and that's going to validate everyone who didn't believe in you. I'm urging us to grow beyond these little minuscule, childish thinking and ways of competing with everybody. In most cases, people who are not even concerned with you or don't know you for real. And it doesn't really matter what they think, because at the end of the day, regardless of what you think of me, I am who I actually am. And that's why I try to remind myself, like, someone could be thinking like you way more successful than you are, but you still only this successful. Somebody could think you're like a complete failure and a loser, and you're still this successful. So at the end of the day, you are the level of successful that you are. And so when I say you deserve what you earn, it means if you want something and you go and work for it and you put yourself in a position to be able to obtain it and it doesn't hurt you and it's not against the will of God, okay, you deserve it because you earned it. But let's say like me, if I work as hard as I ever could, right? And all I wanted was a $400,000 car. And I work extremely hard and maybe I only end up with $400,000. I don't deserve that car. I didn't earn it. It's okay, because guess what? If I have $400,000, then that's what I deserve. And ultimately, that's what I should steward. And I shouldn't take that $400,000 and completely spend it all and go broke trying to get a car that I convinced myself that I deserved. And that's why it's important not to convince yourself that you deserve, A, this material thing, B, something that may never actually make sense. You might have $4 million and it doesn't make sense to spend, 10% of your money about to go broke because you thought you deserved some car that's not even worth it. One thing I do know about success is that success changes your perspective about success. This is an extra gem right here. Success changes your perspective about success. What I mean by that is when you get success, you realize what success is. So again, maybe you get the $400,000 car. you'll probably get in and realize like, oh, just like when I had a $30,000 Honda, it's just a car. I can't take it in bed at night and sleep. I can't pack it up and take it in the office with me at work. I can't travel with my car on my airplane. At the end of the day, it's just a car. It's in the parking lot. The Honda's in the parking lot. They're probably next to each other, or maybe not. If you're in your $400,000 car, you probably valeted or parked very far. My point is just simply, don't let these material things have a hold on you. If you earned it, you deserve it. If not, keep working or be content with what you have. That's what it comes down to me. What's the next thing we got? Ooh, this number 4 right here. Y'all not gonna like this. Resist the urge to be average. A lot of us don't know it, but we are just so average. I know we think we special, but we just live so average. What do I mean by living average? I definitely don't mean this in a good way, if you're not catching on. What I mean is that we say we want greatness, we say we want success, but we have average behaviors, right? So let's say me, if I say, hey, I want to be in shape. Okay, great. That's what you say you want. I had 4 cookies before I came on this podcast today. That's average behavior, bro. At the end of the day, if you do average things, you're going to get average results. You need to resist the urge to be average. And guess what? Average is chasing us all. Oh, yeah, it is. Average is chasing us all. Every day we wake up, it's like averages own us. Like, yeah, I want you to be me. Now, we are with our mouth and sometimes in our minds saying that we want to be great. We want to be successful. But one of the things I realize about success, and again, it's levels to success. I never want to, mispaint the picture, if mispaint is a word. For me, I view success, again, as these various levels. Like, I'm the level of success I am. It's people way more successful than me. So it all changes. It's all fluid at the end of the day. So don't take it no type of way if I refer to myself as successful. I do know that average is a lifestyle. And so if I say I want to be great and I say I want to be successful, once I become successful, I start realizing, I can't do average stuff to maintain this. So I'll give an example. Like, I became a sales executive in 2023, right? And I'm on my second sales exec role right now, on my continued career ladder climb in corporate America. Is people with way bigger business cards than me, senior level execs, C-suite execs, and those type of things, right? Again, it's just the level of success is all relative. But at the end of the day, for me, I've been an executive for a few years now. I'm on my second executive role. And I realized, it was a difference with being an executive versus not being an executive, right? You're no longer just clocking in and clocking out. Not that I was doing that before, but there's a lot more responsibility and expectation. You have a lot more influence. And at the end of the day, your decisions carry a lot more weight. What do I mean by that? Your decisions now, like, in a role like mine, if I do something good, do something well, do something right, it might be in a particular quarter, it might be worth $2 million. It might be like, whoa, this strategic approach went well, and that was plus $2 million to the organization in the quarter, right? Now, in contrast, if I make a mistake, if I'm lazy, if something doesn't go well, it can be a $2 million miss. Success is harder than you think. So what's my point? My point is that at the end of the day, once I became an executive and started realizing that there was a lot more weight that I was carrying with the business decisions I made, and then you have a team, and that means there are people that are dependent on you to position them to be successful, which also means you're a little closer to the people at the top. So they have an expectation for you. So when you get in calls now, it's people with pretty heavy business cards, good or bad. And my point is, I realized that in order to maintain a level of success as an executive, that I had to shed off some of the average ways. What does that mean? The time you wake up, the time you get started at work. Like, for me, it's, things like trying to run. I don't like running. I hate running, but I run. That's one of the ways I try to at least keep myself energetic and things. So run, let's say on average 5 to 6 miles a week, maybe 5 to 7 miles a week. And it's like, okay, well, I need to go run my miles to keep myself fresh so I can have endurance to get through the day. I can't be sluggish. I have to eat a little better. These are all things that if in order to maintain the lifestyle that I live and be successful at it, that I can't be average, maybe the average person, right? And I'm sharing this not about me. Again, I am not the most successful person in the world. I work really hard to get where I am. I put a lot of effort in, and I only share these things to try to help someone give a perspective of what different levels of things look like. Again, I'm not the most successful person. But at the end of the day, what I realized is that, whoa, like I've never been at this level before. So for me to maintain this level requires a lot more commitment from me. You know, I'm always traveling. I think I'm traveling every week, it seems like this summer. Well, what does that mean? I got to stay fresh. I'm in and out of different time zones. Like I got to have my clothes packed, and I got to know what I'm wearing. There's different situations I'm traveling for, different climates, and so all of these things come into play. So I can no longer, at the end of the day, just wake up, clock in and out of work, and treat it like it means nothing. My entire lifestyle has to change in order to elevate to this level, to maintain this level of success. And we're not even talking about if I want to go further, which I do. So, what am I saying all of this for? I'm saying to you in your life, whatever level of success you are either obtaining currently or working to obtain or growing towards, you need to understand that that level of success is going to require different levels of you. And the last level of you that even got you there isn't good enough to keep you there. Sometimes that means shedding off relationships, shedding off friendships that are not productive. They don't produce fruit. You can't really stay in all of the drama. It's different for everybody. The way I do it isn't necessarily the way you do it. For me, one of the things is like, yo, I can't be on social media every day. I can't keep up with everything that's going on in the world without keeping up with what's going on first in my world, in my life. Because social media will have you thinking that the real world, your real life is a certain way, and it's not even reflective. Like there is times people mad about stuff on social media. If you just wake up and went outside and talked to your neighbors and friends and went to the store, you wouldn't even know half of these things were going on. Again, to each his own. Last but not least, before I get out of here, I guess I kind of already alluded to it, but the fifth gem, as we're talking about being successful is harder than you think. The fifth gem is be decisive with your time. One thing that I've realized that once you are successful, in order to maintain levels of success and to grow to new levels of success, you can't, it's not just about like you can't waste time. You have to be decisive with your time. Meaning, all right, you wake up. For me, you know, I keep a to-do list. It's just a notepad every week. Typically on Monday, I write down all the things I want to get done, and we check them off, and we, you know, add things to it. And the goal is to get through most of those things in a week. I never get through everything. We just sometimes roll them over into the next week. Like when you used to have minutes on your phone and they roll over, that's how we do with our to-do list. But at the end of the day, I'm decisive with my time. So if I'm looking at 5 things on my to-do list, I can't do all 5 of them at the same time. And if I focus on all 5 of them, then I'm never going to get one of them done. So it's important to be very decisive with your time and prioritize and say, you know what? I'm running today at 8 a.m. and just get up and do it. Hey, I'm reading First Kings today at 7 a.m. and just do it. And it's not enough time and a lot of space for you to be, oh, I might do this, and you halfway through the day and you haven't done it, and oh, I might do this. No, be decisive with your time. If you want to be successful, your time becomes a lot more important. And one of the things I've learned with that, right? I'll give you an example. First of all, shout out to everyone who has tried to book me in the last 6 months, right? Several people have tried to reach out to book me for different things. And a lot of those are things that I would love to do and would want to do maybe sometime in the future, and definitely appreciate people reaching out. One of the things, it's like when people reach out to book you and it's something dope, you don't want to disrespect them or make them feel like you just don't want to do it. Cause like, man, I really like this. But one of the things I've learned how to do is be decisive with my time. And it's to say, well, I travel a lot. I have a huge responsibility. I have a team that I want to always show that I'm leading with the work and the standard that I'm expecting from y'all. And so at the end of the day, I can't do 100 things right now. I love this podcast, but this podcast for me at this point is something that I do when I have time. I'm not doing it every week or every week at this time or whatever. And I understand that that might mean that my podcast might not grow. That's okay in this season because I'm growing something else. I'm watering something else. I may not be able to go and speak somewhere or be on a panel somewhere, which is, I love doing panels, by the way. That's what I like doing because I like conversation and discussion, and panels allow that. Although I don't know. I don't always like panels because it's too many people with too many different perspectives and it's hard to like have a real conversation. But my point is I like discussions. Maybe that's a better way to put it. I like discussions. But at the end of the day, I've had to turn people down recently, and again, respectfully, because I'm like, well, I don't have the time to do everything. And this thing that I'm working over here, I'm working it. And it's growing and it's doing well. And in order for me to continue to be successful, I have to be decisive. And sometimes decisive means no. And I think some of us struggle with that. One of the reasons I like saying no, not like saying no, but I embrace saying no, is that when I say no, it's actually, to me, integral in business. Because some of us just drag it along. It's like, I can't do it. And sometimes I drag stuff along because I want to do it. But I always lead with like letting people know what my situation is and like what my focus and my priority is. And so I hope this helped you as you think about in your life, you know what I'm saying? Like being successful, maintaining success. For me, a lot of it has been, I'll give you an example. Like, because I travel so much and stuff, I can't be at everything during the week. So I have a system for myself where I just said last year, I can no longer commit to something that happens on a weekday. So if someone called me up right now, like, hey, something happened the next Tuesday, it's like, I cannot commit. It doesn't mean I won't be there. It's just that I don't want to have to call you on Tuesday and come up with give you some excuse that you might understand, you might not. I'd rather tell you like, yo, with my lifestyle, I have to prioritize the week for my corporate work and the fact that I don't clock in and out. Yesterday was Friday. I got a call at 6:30 and I took it. And it's important to the business. It's something that, again, these decisions are, they carry a very heavy financial weight. And so when you become more successful, more influential, your perspective is needed. Your ideas are needed. Your thought, your feedback is needed. Your input is needed. And so you can't just say, man, I ain't answering no call at 5 o'clock, whatever. It's like, yeah, okay, well, that's why you didn't get the promotion. Because that's not the mindset of success. Again, you learn how to balance things out. And for me, because I can't commit to things in a weekday, hey, when I get back in town, most people in my family, they know when I'm driving home from the airport, it's like, call this person, call the next person. So that is a thing for me because that's how I keep in touch with people. So because I'm less accessible or available through the week, that means when I do have times, I'm more proactive and intentional with reaching out to people and not always just waiting on them to reach out to me. So hopefully this stuff has helped you because I feel like success is not something we talk about in a real way. We talk about success in this fake way because we trying to stun on each other. And I really believe as believers, man, we got to chill. All this like stunting is out of order. I'm just being real. And it's happening from pastors on down. And you seeing it, especially with these celebrity pastors, and we become so materialistic and showing people our money and we're trying to show people our success as if that's real. As if, even if you got money, whatever you showing people could be some polished fake version of your reality. You think money stop people from arguing with their wives? You think money stop people from divorce? You think money stop people from all kind of problems? Like your success ain't stopping you from living real life. You not fooling me. I'm not trying to fool you. Let's just be real with each other and say, you know what? Let's have iron sharpening iron. Hey, I'm interested in what you do. I'm interested in what you're about. I can learn something from you. Hey, I'm willing to share to help you grow and sharpen you as well. But we're not here to compete. We're not here to try to seem like our life is perfect and look at what I have. And I don't even want you focusing on stuff. So I'm telling you, I mean, I done had busted stuff. I done had great stuff. None of it matters. None of it is what I want you to see through the lens of what this show is about. It's not, we're not leading it with, look at this. Look, let me prove to you that I'm happy. Look at where I'm at. I mean, all right, you could have gotten to an argument in your car on the way back, and it could be a beautiful car. At the end of the day, man, I appreciate y'all for watching, tapping in. Please do like, share, subscribe. And we will be back, man. This is episode 249. So 250. Yeah, 250. I don't know when it's going to happen because like I told you, I ain't committing to nothing right now outside of my priorities. But yeah, I'm excited. I enjoy doing this show. Hopefully you get some value out of this show, something that you could use towards your real life. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen, man. Y'all have an amazing, amazing, amazing day.